Welcome to part 2 of the Ajikan masterclass. And my name is Nyohaku Soergel, and I'm glad you came back for part 2. If you saw part 1, it's very interesting. So I'm starting this lesson with a little bit of a sidetrack into the written language of China, Japan, the Orient in general. So these are international characters, can be read by billions of people around the earth. And they're beautiful and they have a very interesting history. So I'm going to talk about it a little bit before we get into the final part of the lesson. But if you're not interested, then skip ahead. That's the position where you'll see it. That's the timestamp. First of all, if you saw part 1, you'll see that we started out okay. I even bought you flowers, but by the end of the lesson, they were looking like this. So for today, we've got some nice new flowers for you. With that in mind, let's get started. Beauty is a huge part of the experience we're creating in ourselves and also for the world. And it's a spirit of giving. That's how the Shakuhachi should be played. So it's not just an internal thing. So today's lesson is going to start at the high section, the high sound. Now there's the character for it. Each character is actually a compound character in itself, the one for high and the one for sound. Now, Ajikan is the original sound, the sound of the letter A in Sanskrit. It looks like that. So what we're talking about here is a language that has a written component and a sound component. So let's look at that character for high. When I try to remember these characters, and you can imagine everybody in first grade has to learn this, as well as many other characters, just to graduate first grade. And so trying to remember them becomes problematic. Now I look at the character and I said, this looks like a pagoda to me. So that's how I remember it. I was in Kyoto sketching and I pretty much think it does look like a pagoda. But that's not the real origin of this character. To get into the real origins, you have to dig a little deeper. So take the character for sound. The drawing I'm showing you there, it's a drawing of a tattoo needle. Looks kind of like a black tulip, but really the dye would go in there and into the skin. And so it's a very precise operation, very clear communication. And so that clear, to the point communication is what that tattoo needle really represents. It's been simplified to something that could be scratched into a mold when a bronze bowl is cast for the temple. And that's what these characters were really used for. Now the bottom one, lips, there's no way you could really scratch that into a mold. So what is it? It's a good drawing of lips with something stuck in the middle. So lips, you're speaking, but there's something in your, just sound is coming out. It's blocked, your sound is blocked. So communication is the top one, and the blockage of communication is the bottom one. So what we're left with is merely the sound that you're making. So these two together make sound. Now, as characters were developed with ink and brush influenced the drawing of these characters, they took on a more simplified nature. It's something that most people can do well. So we have the character Ro. It's mouth, it's space, it's this kind of passage. So there's a lot of history and I find it quite interesting. What about katakana? Where did it come from? It wasn't that long ago where I realized that katakana is actually just a piece of kanji. It's simplified. So there's ri. I have to say, I have to play a ri when I see one. So ri looks like a knife. So you can see right here, it actually was part of the character cut. It's been simplified, and so this works well for a shakuhachi note. We'll just use characters from the alphabet. And so other katakanas are interesting too. U, now there it is in kanji. You've got to draw all of that. You've got the roof at the top, you've got something dry underneath, maybe people. And so what's retained is just the roof, and that becomes the sound U. But for katakana, you can see that U has developed into the shape that we recognize now as a shakuhachi note. And hiragana, it's also developed into a cursive version of it. That's interesting too. How about the letter Su? Well, the character for Su, those 3 lines, obviously it's an easy way to draw a river that anybody can draw. but it gets a little tedious when you're doing it quickly. And it works a lot better. You can see the Katakana version has so much more beauty to it. What happened with hiragana, the cursive version? Well, it turned into one beautiful stroke. And so these are wonderful character sets, and I hope you enjoy learning a little bit about them. So starting with 15, the Surrey is very rapid, the Hi'i is quick as well, and try to make it sweet. I would suggest maybe having a little tea while you're playing once in a while. Make sure that everything is working properly in there. That breath is very quick, and try not to make that gasping for air sound. It's a habit that people seem to pick up. So we all do it, but it's good to be aware if you are doing it. Sixteen starts out like 15, but it goes up higher. It goes up to a ha, 2-4-5 ha, and then the ah come down and shade. So you'll see, following that, a simple 3-note figure, which is very pretty. It's something unlike everything else in the piece. I think that's a special thing to note. And then the rest of the piece flows and flows, and there's a double atari at the end. So here we go. Now for 17, you'll see some of these double G's are increasing, and it's just a wonderful trickling effect. I just love this piece. It's my favorite piece. So remember to start down there at the bottom of the line and look for those double G's. And now in the middle of that second breath, you're singing the ooh with your head down, and then that ooh-san is a different ooh where your head is coming up. So listen for that. And then it's a little tricky when you've got this whole 3 open to suddenly go to a Sue, Mary, and then drop down. So practice these in slow motion until you've got it right. So 18 doesn't really have anything new and different, but just follow along. You'll see that there are the long breaths that this piece requires. Now 19. So 19, C19B over here, I broke that out just so you can just pay attention one more time. It's a regular Ataris, 3 Ataris, and then you come down with this finger and then raise the finger off for the first time. Repeat rapidly 3 times, and you do that 3 times. So here we go, 19A. So on to 20. So this should be self-explanatory. '21 has much of the same, so I'll play it, and you've got these notes to refer to. And 22, the last two phrases of the piece. Something very interesting happens right here. That's a sukaru. It changes the whole tonality of the piece. And that's it. At last note, it's very hard to trail that out smoothly, and it's very hard to keep your pitch from dropping. I'm doing the best I can, and we all have varying abilities. Some people are quite amazing, and actually some flutes are quite amazing. They're easier to play. But I won't spread the blame. I think I use this piece to try to improve as a player and to look inside myself. And I experience something very special when I play this piece. So I hope you find it worth your time to work through these little technical aspects and then get to the point where you play it over and over and over again, and really that piece can become part of you. You'll see why it's one of the most popular of all solo shakuhachi pieces in Japan from the player's point of view. So thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging in there with the whole lesson. And I'll get some more water on my poor flowers and get back to playing. I just love to play when I have some free time, and bring the old pieces out that I haven't played in a while. And so good luck with your shakuhachi playing.